And here's the $1,000,000 question of the day. Maybe. Where did all the money go? Where did all the money go? Oh, and Candace Owens just posted this video.
There arrived a moment when Charlie felt that the money was disappearing. Allegedly, I'll say allegedly here, but I think we have some proof that shows that. And the excuses that he was being given for the money disappearing wasn't adding up for Charlie. Said another way, the math wasn't mathing, okay? He felt that, again, according to sources, that the company was burning through cash too quickly. And Charlie set about finding out why and how this was happening. So on September 2nd, which is, of course, just 1 week before he lost his life, Charlie surprised the company by announcing that he was putting together a DOGE department. Yes, a department of government efficiency like Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy had set out to do. Trump won. They got behind him, right? They said, hey, there's a lot of pork. We don't know where this money is going. People are just accepting checks. Again, this is the whole purpose of the Department of DOGE. You put us in there and we're going to figure out how all of these bureaucrats are just wasting tax dollars. Really kind of a nice way of saying we're going to conduct an audit of the government, right? That's the only way to look at what DOGE was. It's an audit, and then you cut the fat and you see where the money's actually going. Don't listen to me, by the way, because we can read Charlie in his own words. This was a internal memo that went out, signed off by Charlie on September 2nd. I'm going to skip to the relevant portions.
And so here's the deal, folks. I'm not quite sure if you are aware of what has been happening, and we're going to touch on a few different topics and subjects and people here, and money, because it's disappearing. Or at least it seems, because YouTube has changed their algorithm completely, which ultimately is causing channels to get less views. And you would assume less views mean less revenue.
My father-in-law just said to me, why are you not doing many videos anymore? He's been watching the channel since day one. He's probably my longest subscriber, first person to comment on the channel. And I've always really appreciated his support. And when he said this, I went, well, here's what's happening. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the channel. I'm Sam Evans. And the only way you're going to see my videos, and by the way, I do 6, 7, or even 8 videos every day. Even if you're not seeing them, that's what I still do. The only way you're going to actually see them is if you subscribe to my newsletter and you get an update every day with the links to the new videos. YouTube has changed its algorithms. It's favoring big media, ESPN, Disney, channels, kids channels, channels where they're doing drag racing and millions of people want to see this kind of like entertainment type stuff. And the algorithms have drastically affected many channels. It's obviously not just me. Now, I said to my father-in-law, no, I'm still doing the videos. And he said, no, you're not. You mustn't be, because I'm not seeing them and I watch all your videos. So even though he clicks on my videos and watches them, my videos are not, most of them are actually appearing in his feed. Now, interestingly, the same thing's been happening to me. So I love watching, I love watching the athletics, baseball, the Oakland A's. Yeah, they are the underdogs. They are the sports team that the movie Moneyball was based on, right? These guys have no budget, like $70 million a year. They're competing against teams with $300 to $400 million in budget a year. I love the underdogs. So I watch them on YouTube. I watch their highlights. But guess what? Because not that many people do, they don't have huge fan base like, say, teams like the Dodgers. Even though I watch their videos almost every day, their highlight video, which is about 10 minutes long, their videos almost never appear in my feed. So you would think YouTube would wake up and say, well, this guy, this weird Sam Evans dude, he loves the Oakland Athletics. He's from Australia. What kind of Australian's even into baseball to begin with, let alone the most little niche team that no one likes anyway? But you'd think that after more than a year of me watching this team every time, I mean, baseball, there's 162 games in a year. So I'm watching these guys like every second day, if not every day almost. You'd think YouTube would wake up and say, well, this guy wants to watch it. But the only way I can actually find their games is by searching for them. Every day, I've got to get into my search thing and click Oakland A's versus to actually see their videos. So YouTube's algorithms, I don't know what the hell they did, why they did this, but my YouTube feed is so messed up. Don't know about yours. My YouTube feed is showing me the most ridiculous childish stuff, like videos intended for, I don't know, teenagers. So it's like they think I've turned into a teenager. Maybe I have the maturity of a teenager. I don't know. But half the things in my YouTube feed are just nonsensical. They're things I have zero interest in, and I don't know why. I don't know why this has happened. Settings.
But YouTube's also demonetizing channels, and Jack Morgan RLP is one that they have recently attacked.
I really don't even know where to start right now. Okay, as you can see from the title of this video, it's not good. It's not cool, and it's fucked up. I'm fucked up right now. Nestor is too. I got Nestor with me right now.
Yeah.
How do I say this? Basically, we lost our monetization on YouTube. Both of our YouTube channels. And nothing that we did wrong. It was just a error. A system error. And so we're fine. We just can't make any money. So the way I could kind of explain this to you guys is, you know how you already hate, not to mention my face is all messed up. I got a fungal infection up here. It's terrible. I could barely talk, but we'll get into that in a minute. So you know how you go to work and you already don't get paid enough and you hate going? Well, we like what we do. And we get paid very well for it. Well, not now. We're not. That's been stripped away. So it basically feels like we're on probation. We are. We're on probation by an error. Mm-hmm. Not even something we did. It was just a mistake that was made on the back end. So basically for the next 30 days, well, it was 32 days. We're 2 days in. So for the next 30 days, there will be no monetization on both of my YouTube channels. And everything that we made for this month already, we don't even know if we're going to get paid. And I know it seems like we're not looking for sympathy. I think there's a valuable lesson to be learned here, for me at least, and for Nestor. I think, I believe firmly that you should be able to have one job and it'd be enough to live, right? Yeah. But we live in the day and age of the side hustle, which we do. Luckily, I've learned some lessons here, but luckily we have some sort of money coming in based from YouTube, from you guys. Thank God you're here. But that doesn't have to do with Google, which is where you get paid. You're probably wondering what fucking happened. Well, first of all, Google does not give a shit, just like most jobs. They don't care about you. They don't care about me. They definitely don't care about Nestor. Okay? They don't care about my fungal infection. They don't give a shit. All I did was try and change my account from a regular account to a business account and link it to my business bank account. Boom! Flagged. You're off the fucking field. Monetization shut down. They flagged it as fraud.
It's almost as if someone should have created a program for other YouTube content creators to engage with on a personal level with live mastermind conversations, chats, and direct communication on a business, an algorithm, a platform that is very fluid and rapidly changing. Anyway, that ship has sailed. Fuck that noise.
Last week, the Federal Reserve in the United States cut rates by 25 basis points, the first cut in almost an entire year.
Federal Reserve just delivered a long-awaited quarter-point rate cut this week.
This is a move that many expect will send the price of stocks soaring and take crypto along with it. Others are concerned that this is actually just a signal that the US economy is in a really bad spot, and the need to lower rates in order to stimulate economy means that the cracks are actually beginning to show. Stick with me until the end here, because I'm going to break down what exactly is going on, why this interest rate cut is potentially a little bit bigger than it may seem on the surface, and exactly what I'm doing to prepare for what comes next. I'm Keith D, here to talk everything money and markets. Let's dive into it. Let's start with the facts. On September 17th, we had the Federal Open Market Committee, the FOMC, lower the federal funds target rate by 25 basis points. This ended a pause in lowering the federal funds rate target that has lasted since late 2024. Now, when the Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell took the stand on the 17th, he went ahead and called this a risk management cut, stating that there's no real need for an abrupt policy change like we've seen over the past 5 years. Now, as he said this, he also admitted that there are some growing risks in the growth outlook for the United States, which means that the economy is not necessarily doing too hot. That's the headline. But the drama around all of this is not the actual cut itself. Instead, it's who was actually sitting in the room when this decision was made. Less than 24 hours before the FOMC released its decision about lowering the federal funds target rate, Stephen Moran, Trump's economic advisor, was actually confirmed to the Board of Governors at the Federal Reserve. The thing about this is not only has Moran been an advisor to Trump throughout his new term, but it turns out that he's also going to continue to serve in that role as well. Normally, Fed nominees would step away from their political roles in order to maintain independence between the White House and the Fed. And in this case, Moran did not. This is a clear break from what we've seen in the past. But let's break this down a little bit further. The Fed, and specifically the Federal Open Market Committee, is responsible for setting the short-term interest rates in the United States. This essentially helps to determine the level of investment that's coming into the economy. Short-term interest rates can have a direct impact on the economy by, for instance, if they are lowered, encouraging more borrowing and therefore more investment, which should lead to more growth. On the other side of that, raising interest rates can slow down the amount of borrowing that's happening, bring the economy to a halt, and prevent there from being an overheating of the economy in terms of inflation. Now, the FOMC comes together about every 6 weeks to make their decision on where they want to set the target for the federal funds rate, which is essentially that short-term interest rate that I'm talking about. The FOMC is actually made up of 12 different participants. 7 of them are actually members of the board of the Federal Reserve itself, and that includes the chairman of the Fed. The other 5 members of the FOMC are actually some of the governors of the regional Federal Reserve banks. Each member of the FOMC has an equal weighted vote on what happens with interest rates at each of these meetings that happen every 6 weeks. Now, with that understood, we have a president who has also been calling for lower interest rates his entire time in office. The goal here is to lower interest rates to increase borrowing and grow the economy so that we can start to work our way out of this extremely poor debt to GDP ratio that we have in the United States at the moment. The idea is to grow the GDP number, therefore decreasing the overall debt to GDP. And to do that, you might want to have lower interest rates to spur that kind of growth that would be necessary to make that happen. Now, ever since inauguration, the current president has essentially been very vocal about his feelings toward the current Fed chairman, Jerome Powell. He's been openly criticizing Jerome Powell ever since that inauguration. Now, as all of that has been going on August 1st, we actually had Adriana Kugler, one of the 7 members of the Board of Governors at the Federal Reserve, actually step down and resign from her position. There's been tons of speculation around why that happened, but for now, we will stay out of that. Fast forward a few weeks to August 25th, and we actually had the president go ahead and openly fire Lisa Cook, another one of the board members of the Federal Reserve. Since then, there has been a legal battle that has been going on around whether or not the president of the United States is allowed to fire someone in that position, and we won't get into that either. What's important to understand is that before the FOMC decision on the 17th, it turned out that the Supreme Court actually said that Lisa Cook would still be able to vote in this most recent decision. Now, the thing to point out here is that when Adriana Kugler stepped down from her position, the president actually had an opportunity to appoint someone else to become a member of the Board of Governors. His pick happened to be his own economic advisor, Stephen Moran. Stephen Moran is a known author of the Mar-a-Lago Accords alongside the current Secretary of Treasury, Scott Bessent. The Mar-a-Lago Accords is a trade initiative that is supposed to weaken the US dollar and strengthen American manufacturing. All of this to say that it seems that the president is putting the pieces in place to be able to get lower interest rates in the near term. The thing to note here is that Stephen Moran was actually confirmed to his position as a member of the Board of Governors less than 24 hours before the FOMC decision that just took place. Now, in the short term, there's no telling whether or not this actually made an impact on the decision that was made, but for sure, moving forward, there are now pieces in place to make sure that rates can go down. Now, besides all of that drama, we also have a huge hoopla going on with the labor market in the United States. In August, as all of that was going on, we had the Bureau of Labor Statistics admit that the United States had added 900,000 jobs fewer than it had previously reported. That was the largest downward revision since 2009. This makes it also a lot easier to justify the idea of lowering interest rates in order to spur investment and growth in the economy. The thing that was so weird about this is that everyone already kind of felt it, right? More people working part-time, longer hours, and we saw tons of layoffs. So now it turns out that the numbers are actually matching the mood. The problem with all of this is that if we can't trust any of the data, right, the labor market data is just way off, then how do we price risk in the markets? This is where a lot of opportunity and a lot of danger reside. Right now, the US stock market is at all-time high. But with that, we have to keep in mind that the US dollar, or the DXY index, is actually down more than 10% on the year. On top of all of that, we have gold hitting new all-time highs, going on a historical run. This probably says that there's something that's not too great about what's happening in the global economy. And then we have crypto, with Bitcoin hanging out right around its all-time highs, Ethereum also going up for that number and potentially signaling that we're ready for an alt season. On top of that, we have the US government, including the legislative and executive branch, working together to try and get crypto legislation across the finish line before the end of the year. What investors are asking right now is, are we about to see the market continue to melt up? Or are we actually seeing that everything is about to turn around from here, and for instance in crypto, that the bull run is already over? Also in the crypto world, some are calling for a super cycle, saying that in reality, it doesn't even really matter what's happening on the macro backdrop because prices are going to go up and they're not going to have as big of those drops as we've seen in the past. What I'm personally preparing for is a continuation of the trend in higher prices for stocks and the potential for a massive blow off top in the cryptocurrency market, where I will be taking risk off the table. Inside my private mastermind, we're actually going over exactly how shifts in Fed policy like this will impact crypto, stocks, gold, and global markets in general. We're mapping out the market cycles, risk, and preparing for the generational opportunity that is coming from the macro landscape, and specifically also what's happening with crypto. If you're taking this seriously and want a seat at the table, then click the link in the description to go ahead and apply for that private mastermind now. I'm Keith D, here to talk about everything money and markets. If you enjoyed this at all, be sure to like and subscribe, and let me know in the comments. What do you think? Is this the beginning of a historic melt-up, or the calm before the mother of all crashes? Drop your take down below and be sure to subscribe. See you next time.
Here's the deal, folks. YouTube has changed their algorithm, and it's not just me saying this. This is me repeating this from so many others who have already stated.
I've talked to some other people. It's not just me. This has happened to a lot of people. So yeah, if you want to see the videos, if you want to see my technology videos on the new sodium-ion batteries, videos about new EVs that you probably haven't heard of that might be coming to market soon, that you might be missing out on, you probably are missing out on, then just click on the link, sign up to the newsletter. You'll get an email. It's going to show you all my videos every day. And then you can choose which ones are interesting to you and which ones are not. And you won't have to worry about the fact that over the last year, you might have missed out on seeing more than 1,000 of my videos. I'm sure some of which would have been interesting to you.
And yes, I have no plans on creating a newsletter to provide you with links to all my videos. It just is what it is, or so it seems. Now, granted, Jack actually made this fatal error and mistake on his own, which is ironic because it's actually a conversation that I was having with Keith D probably 2 months ago and making sure he knew to avoid that very problem.
So basically, we don't even know if we're going to get a paycheck for this month. And also, we don't get paid weekly or bi-weekly. We get paid once a month. So everything runs a month behind. It's weird, dude. So pray to God that next month we get reinstated, and then we'd have to wait another month from that day. So probably somewhere closer towards Christmas, maybe Thanksgiving. Not that we can afford to have that, Nestor.
Nope.
I'm not saying poor me. I also have a fungal infection, and I haven't been able to film like normal. That's bigger reason. But the moral of the story is we're gonna thug it out, and we're gonna do our side hustles, and we're gonna learn how to make money aside from just this, which we have been doing.
And perhaps maybe no better time than ever to discuss what to do after you've suddenly been demonetized. Or maybe a better video conversation, or maybe a collection of videos would be how to prepare yourself for when YouTube dies, when YouTube collapses, when it all comes crashing down and falls apart, whether it be based on your own actions or circumstances beyond your control. Best case, go get a real job, because I'm not gonna lie to you guys, a real job would be so much easier than making YouTube videos. All right, y'all, let's hit pause for a second because this matters and it's really important. We talk a lot on this channel about taking control of your life, making smart choices, and not letting the system overwhelm you. But when it comes to navigating Medicare, it can feel like you're wading through a swamp of total confusion. Plans, coverage, costs, deadlines, you name it. And that's where Chapter steps in. They're not just another company. They're the real deal when it comes to free Medicare help. Chapter's team of experts has helped thousands of people across the country find the right Medicare plan, and they do it with one goal in mind: putting you first. No fees, no pressure, just honest guidance to make sure you're covered without breaking the bank. Big insurance companies have their own agendas, but Chapter's got your back, fighting to get you the plan that works for you. So if you're approaching Medicare age or helping a loved one figure it out, don't go it alone. Call Chapter today at 270-467-2426 and start getting the clarity you deserve. Because at the end of the day, protecting your health and your wallet, well, that's not just smart. It's living life on your terms. But we can't ignore the elephant in the room. We mustn't let this just disappear into the void of noise that typically occurs and happens after such a massive event with so many thoughts and opinions and comment sections being lit up. What happened to the money?
So not to be that person, but I'm kind of going to be that person. There has been a lot of information coming out in regards to Tyler Robinson and the Charlie Kirk assassination, but all the information that's being shared right now from Candace Owens, I don't see where any of the proof is. So the newest one that was shared by Wall Street Apes is saying that Candace is saying that there was an internal memo that went out from Charlie Kirk on September 2nd at Turning Point USA saying something about the money was disappearing. He wanted to know where the money was. He was going to make a Doge style office for inside Turning Point USA to figure out where the money was going. And then, as she says, 8 days later, he's assassinated. And she's making it seem like it's because of this memo. And my question is, where's the memo? Where is the memo? You would think that, one, she would show it in a video, which she did not. Previously, she said that there was a picture of Tyler Robinson at a Dairy Queen on the same night of the assassination of Charlie Kirk at about 6:38 p.m. Dairy Queen has not confirmed it. Nobody else has shared this, only Candace Owens. And my question is, why would Candace have all this information and literally nobody else in the world would have it? Only her. The implications that she is putting out there are there's serious implications that she is leading with, right? She's making it seem like this was an inside job, which I have no proof if it was or if it was not. She's making it seem like Turning Point USA murdered Charlie because of maybe being caught in embezzling money, which there is no proof of whatsoever. Now, technically, Candace does show a memo. But the memo that she shows, in my personal opinion, does not at all align with what she is claiming is happening within Turning Point USA. And to me, I don't like it. The Turning Point Corporation, company, whatever, people inside it, there are a ton of people. You would think if this memo was real, it would have been leaked by somebody at some point somewhere. Everything else in its mama gets leaked when it's something that important. How come nothing there has been leaked? I am slowly losing, personally, any faith and trust in Candace Owens because she does not come with receipts. Everybody's talking about, oh, receipts this, receipts that. Look what Candace Owens has, but she doesn't have receipts. She just has talking and words and emotion to make you feel some type of way, but there's no actual proof of anything that she is saying. I personally want proof before I make a decision on what is going on with the whole Charlie Kirk assassination. Do I think something is off about it? Oh, hell yeah. Something is definitely not right with it. There are too many things that don't make sense to me. However, I would not put out on the World Wide Web something I had no proof of. And if she has proof, show it. Like that's the only thing for me. There are so many people trying to turn the Charlie Kirk assassination into all kinds of different conspiracies. Doesn't mean one of them may not be correct. It doesn't mean that there's not some truth behind some things that are being shared or said, but without proof, how do you know? Everything feels like misdirection at this point. Every single bit of it. And it's concerning to me that the people that we are trusting to give us the most accurate information, we can't prove that they are. You know what I mean? Anyway, I'm taking every single thing that comes out about Charlie Kirk right now, and especially by Candace Owens, with a massive grain of salt, personally.